Today we will do the venous drainage of the lower limb. So the lower limb has got two types of the venous system. One is called the superficial venous system and the deep venous system. And both the superficial veins and the deep veins, they are intercommunicated with the help of the four perforators present there. Now the lower limb, as we know, start with the abdomen ends, that is the inguinal crease of the human body. And the venous drainage start from the dorsum of the foot. Small veins started from the digits, they are called the digital veins. They all unite to form the metatarsal veins, and all the metatarsal veins, they unite to form a dorsal venous arc, which has got a medial end and a lateral end. The medial end of the dorsal venous arc is continued upward in front of the dorsum of the foot and the medial malleolus, and in front of the ankle joint as the long or the great saphenous vein. And this vein runs upward in the superficial fascia over the shin of the tibia. From at the knee, it's slightly bent posteriorly, a hand breadth size away from the patella, and here it is accompanied by a saphenous artery, which is the branch of the descending genicular artery, that is the last branch of the femoral artery in front of the thigh before it disappears from the hiatus magnus to become the popliteal artery. Plus, this great saphenous vein is also accompanied by the longest cutaneous nerve of the human body, that is the saphenous nerve, which is the branch of the femoral nerve. When this great saphenous vein comes in the front of the thigh, in the medial aspect, collecting the tributaries from the medial and lateral part of the thigh, and this great saphenous vein in the superficial fascia of the thigh enters into the, pierces the cribriform fascia, which is bridging across a saphenous opening in the deep fascia of the thigh, and it opens into the deep vein, that is the femoral vein, and this saphenous opening lies 4 centimeters below and lateral to the pubic tubercle. 4 centimeters below and lateral to the pubic tubercle. Into the deep vein, that is the femoral vein. So this is called the saphenofemoral junction. Saphenofemoral junction. So this is the first perforator, right at the level of saphenofemoral junction. So we receive the tributaries from the medial part of the thigh and from the lateral aspect of the thigh, and the lower part of the anteabdominal wall, external pudendal superficial vein from the external genitalia, inferior epigastric veins, and the circumflex iliac vein from the area of the anterior superior spine. They are the known tributaries of the great saphenous vein. Similarly, the lateral end of the dorsal venous arc start as the short saphenous vein. Short saphenous vein. and the short saphenous vein runs behind the lateral malleolus and it ascends upward almost in the middle of the posterior aspect of the leg, and in the middle of the popliteal fossa this vein opens into the popliteal vein, which is a deep vein. So it is small because it only traverses the leg. So it is called the short saphenous vein or the small saphenous vein. And long saphenous or great saphenous start from the great toe and it ends into the thigh. So it traverses almost whole of the lower limb. So it is called the long or the great saphenous vein. So this is the superficial system of the veins of the lower limb, collecting the impure blood from the skin and the superficial fascia. Now there is a deep venous system also present, and these deep veins, they are the femoral veins, obturator vein, and the popliteal vein and its branches. As we know, the femoral vein is the deep vein lying below the deep fascia of the thigh. In the hiatus magnus, it passes in the popliteal fossa, and now it is called the popliteal vein. And this popliteal vein is formed by the union of small vena comitants coming from accompanying the anterior tibial artery in the anterior compartment, it is formed by the union of the posterior tibial artery, which is also accompanied by the vena comitants, and the peroneal artery, the artery of the lateral compartment, accompany the vena comitants. So these all vena comitants, they all unite to form what is called the popliteal vein, which ascend upward, passes through the hiatus magnus, after the popliteal fossa. Now it is continued upward as the femoral vein, and when the femoral vein traverses the inguinal ligament, now it enters into the pelvis, and now it is called the external iliac vein. And this external iliac vein meet with the internal iliac to form the common iliac vein. And this common iliac vein of the right and left side, they unite to form what is called the inferior vena cava, which opens into the right atrium. So this is how anti-gravity blood goes up and ultimately reaches the inferior vena cava and into the heart circulation. Now these deep veins in the leg and the deep vein, that is the femoral vein, they are all communicated through the muscles of the region. They are the four perforators. They are called the perforating veins. So one is very common, lies at the level of the saphenous vein. Second lies in the adductor canal. It is called the hunter's vein. In the adductor canal in the front of the thigh. So this perforator, it communicates with the great saphenous vein and the femoral vein. Then one is lying in the lower part of the leg, and one lies at the level of the ankle joint. and one may be there in the below the knee. So this is how the deep and the superficial venous system it works. All the blood from the venous blood from the superficial system, it will go into the deep venous system, and from the deep venous system it goes to the inferior vena cava and to the heart. Now the calf muscles of the leg, they are called the peripheral heart. So peripheral heart is formed by the calf muscles. Now these perforators and these veins, they are having the valves in them, and these valves, they make the unidirectional flow in the anti-gravity position. So whenever the blood try to come back, so it is prevented by these valves. So all the perforators, they are all having the valves in them, which makes the unidirectional flow of the venous blood. That is the anti-gravity. Now the calf muscles, they are formed by the strong two gastrocnemiae and the soleus muscle. As we know, the gastrocnemiae muscles, there are two medial and lateral gastrocnemius muscle, along with the plantaris, and in front of them that is the soleus muscle. As they form the tendocalcaneum. So these lateral and these are the medial gastrocnemius muscles and plantaris, and this is the soleus muscle. So they are called the calf muscles. So calf muscles, they play a very important role as what is called the peripheral heart. Deep to the soleus, there lies the posterior tibial artery, accompanied by the vena comitans, which are the deep veins in the leg. And the superficial veins in the calf muscles is the short saphenous vein. Now these vena comitans goes upward, and ultimately by joining of the vena comitans of the peroneal artery and vena comitans from the anterior tibial artery, they all unite to form what is called the popliteal vein. So this short saphenous vein, through the perforators, they communicate with these veins, the deep veins accompanying the anterior tibial artery, the posterior tibial artery, and the peroneal artery. So muscles, so these perforators, they invade through the calf muscles, and then they communicate with the deep lying vena comitants of the popliteal vein. So whole of the blood from the superficial system, they pass through the valvular perforators into the deep system, and from this deep system this blood ultimately goes up. So the contraction of the muscles of the calf muscle during walking, they press the perforators by which the blood is pushed into the deep veins, and then the blood goes up against the gravity. So that's why the calf muscles, they are called the peripheral heart, because the bulge of the leg tissue posteriorly so this mainly bulge of the posterior compartment of the leg is mainly formed by the two gastrocnemiae and the plantaris, which later on below goes as the tendo Achilles or the tendo calcaneum. The soleus is a flat muscle lying in front of it. So the deep veins accompanying the posterior tibial artery, that is the vena comitans, and the superficial vein, that is the short saphenous vein, which is opening in the middle of the popliteal fossa into the popliteal vein, formed by the union of the anterior vena comitans from the anterior tibial artery and from the posterior peroneal artery. So this is the short saphenous vein which lies in the superficial fascia of the posterior part of the leg into the yellow color fat, opens into the popliteal vein. Now these deep veins and the short saphenous vein, they are communicated by the perforators, which are having valves, and they make the blood to go from the superficial to the deep system, which goes upward. So this part is called the peripheral heart, because when blood passes from the superficial system to the deep system, the contraction of the muscle squeezes the veins and the blood readily goes into the deep veins, and then it is lifted up. So that is the mechanism why we call the peripheral heart. Now comes the applied anatomy related to it. In the applied aspect of the venous system of the lower limb, that is called varicose veins. So varicose veins are the veins. The varicose vein is given the name that when the superficial veins, they become tortuous, they are called the varicose vein. There may be small segments or there may be long segments of the varicose veins which look like the snake-like and easily seen superficial veins just below the skin. So such veins which are tortuous, they are called the varicose veins. And these varicose veins, when not treated, they lead to the varicose ulcers. Varicose ulcers are because of the stretching of the skin overlying the dilated varicose veins with the subsequent times, as the veins are already thin walled, so they get ruptured and they lead to the bleeding. And that blood comes into the superficial fascia, and the patient present with the brown spots around the varicose ulcers. So these brown spots are because of the hematoma, which undergo the color changes. So there is a brown pigmentation of the skin, and these varicose veins may be sometimes invisible in the fatty patients, and only the dark brown pigmentation of the skin is the diagnostic of the varicose veins. And the varicose veins, the main underlying cause is the damage of the valvular system. The walls present in the perforators and the great saphenous vein and the short saphenous vein wall, they becomes incompetent. They are no longer functional. The cause of this non-functioning of these walls are maybe genetic, or it may be due to the prolonged standing hours in the job of the people, or it may be due to the lack of the exercise, especially the calf muscles. It leads to the varicose vein formation. Another related applied of the venous system of the lower limb is the DVT, that is the deep vein thrombosis. Deep vein thrombosis. So deep vein thrombosis occurs in a debilitated patients, or the patients which are lying in the hospital bed for very long periods due to their disease, as patient in the coma, or patients of the paraplegia, patients of the quadriplegia, or related diseases in which the veins in the calf muscles and the blood into them undergo thrombosis. So this clotted blood damages the walls of the veins. So the destruction of the walls of the perforator and the veins of the lower limb is due to the thrombosis, which lead to the stasis of the blood, venous blood in the veins, which undergo thrombosis, and this thrombosis when undergo the recanalization. So this is the three-triad system we say, which damages the walls by Virchow. So Virchow's triad, it is said that how these walls become incompetent due to the stagnation of the blood leading to the thrombus formation, and then the recanalization of the thrombus or the destruction of the thrombus lead to the damage to the walls. So this is the reason, in order to prevent the deep vein thrombosis, we put the anticoagulants to the patient as early as possible to prevent the thrombotic lesions of the deep veins and the valvular damage. So that is the part of the treatment. Another applied related to the venous system is the venous section. So venous section is the procedure, it is a outdoor procedure in the patients who are suffering from the peripheral circulatory failure, PCF, peripheral circulatory failure patients, in which all the superficial veins, they are collapsed because of the hypotension or the other reasons, and no vein is available for the intravenous infusion. Then the great saphenous vein, as it lies in front of the medial malleolus, is a definite position of the vein, even the patients of the PCF. So this vein is with a very minor surgical procedure. We cut the skin horizontally and we split it open and we identify the vein, which is a quite easily seen vein. Bluish vein is visible just below the skin in the superficial facial line, and we put the indwelling needle into the long saphenous vein, and it will save the life of the patient. So this procedure is called the venous section. So another problem of the venous system in the lower limb is very common in the females, is the calf pain. So pain in the calf muscles is very common in the females because of the lack of the exercise, and their prolonged standing may be the cause. So there is a stasis of the blood into the perforators of the calf muscles, and because of the laxity of the contraction of the muscles, the stasis of the blood causes the pain in the calf muscles. So it can be exemplified with the help of a simple example, that if we are going on foot for hiking or something, or upstairs or somewhere in the hills for the trekking or so, we start walking and walking and walking, and a time will come when we start the pain in our calf muscles. At that moment, we won't be able to put a single step forward. We have to sit for a while. And what we do in that period of the resting phase, because there started the pain in our calf muscles. And this pain in the calf muscle is because of the repeated walking and the contraction and relaxation of the calf muscles. But one stage will come when the calf muscle undergo fatigue. And when the calf muscle they undergo fatigue, so they won't be contracting, and the blood into the perforators will be stayed there. It is not pushed into the deep vein from the superficial system of the vein. So that is the cause of the pain. But if we rest for some time, and if we squeeze our calf muscles, what we see, after a few minutes, we are again ready to walk. What we have done by squeezing the calf muscles, we have pushed the superficial venous system blood or the perforator blood system forcefully into our deep venous system. So venous blood is evacuated from the muscle, which is the peripheral heart. Why it is called peripheral heart? What is the heart is doing? Receiving the blood, contracting the cardiac muscles in the left ventricle and pushing into the aorta. Same as the calf muscle is doing. Blood is coming from the superficial venous system, contracting through the perforators and pushing into the deep veins, which is going towards the heart and the inferior vena cava. So that's why it's called the peripheral heart. So just by squeezing, we are ready to move. So that is called the venous system. Now, the patient who are lying in the bed after a very complicated long surgery, or the other patients which are unable to walk, the diagnosis of the deep vein thrombosis can be done with the help of the complaint of the patient. So one complaint of the patient is the pain. Another is the low-grade pyrexia, the fever. So after the surgery, prolonged surgery, if the patient is lying in the bed for so many weeks or so, if the person feels pain in the calf muscles, or his fever is not going, and there is a dark pigmentation, brown pigmentation of the skin over the leg muscles, leg skin, so that may be the cause of the deep vein thrombosis. Then we go, the anticoagulant treatment is given to the patient, and we treat the deep vein thrombosis problem. Plus we also give the stockings. So these stockings, they are the skin tight structure which squeeze the calf muscles, and they act on the deep veins, and they ensure their emptying in the anti-gravity position. The varicose veins, they are also treated. First line of treatment is that the change of the working hours and the prolonged standing. So we advise the patient to shift to the other job which do not require the 7, 8 or 9 or 10 hours of the prolonged standing. So that is one of the cause. Second is, whenever patient is sitting, he or she should keep the leg, lower limb, about 45 degree in the upward position, so that the gravity will empty the veins, and the varicose veins, they are prevented. But if the walls, they are damaged, then it won't affect. The standing or the sitting position may again fill the veins, and they are prone to the varicose veins and the ulcers. The surgical procedure requires the stripping of the varicose veins. The procedure is called the stripping. So in the surgical procedure, a small thin wire is pushed into the vein as it goes upward. Then we pull this thin vein and we open the vein. Short saphenous vein or great saphenous vein is opened in the subcutaneous tissue. So we make it open, so there will be no stasis of the blood. So this process is called the stripping. And another physiotherapeutic measures are given to prevent the recurrence of the varicose veins. But in the females, the varicose veins, they are aggravated by the pregnancy also. Because the pregnant women, in which the DVT is also common and varicose veins are common, the gravity uterus press upon the common iliac, external iliac or the internal iliac veins in the pelvis. That may be the cause of the stagnation of the blood in the lower limb of the females. So that's all about the venous system. Bump.